Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
We all, of course, fondly remember Lawyer Dog. So we've got the Lawyer Dog sign over here. And, of course, we've got a Lawyer Dog thing here and a Barrister Dog over here. So we love dogs on this show, my audience and I. And several people sent me a story. In fact, quite a few people sent me a story involving a man, police say, tried to switch places with his dog when pulled over in a traffic incident. And the point was he's going to say, hey, I wasn't driving. He was driving, which would make him the driver dog. So it didn't work. But that, of course, is not the punchline of the entire story. It's just the fact that the guy tried to pull this. So Dara Bittler wrote this for KDVR. Colorado police arrested a man Saturday night who was allegedly driving while intoxicated and got lost, but he had his dog in the car. So that should help on some level, right? When approached by police, officers said the man tried to switch places with the dog who was in the passenger seat. Now, I like this. He tried to switch places, which one interpretation that could be the dog said, I don't want no part of this. No, you get over there. I'm not going down for this one. Police said the incident started around 11:30 p.m. near 7th and Main in Springfield, when a driver was allegedly seen speeding at 52 miles per hour in a 30 mile per hour zone. So they say he was doing 22 over. We're going to pull him over for that. So when police stopped the driver and approached the vehicle, the officer said they watched the driver try to switch places with his dog who was in the passenger seat. We also do not know what kind of dog it was. That's another glaring omission in this story. Because a small dog might not be able to see over the steering wheel. And some dogs aren't terribly good with directions either. Police said the man got out of the passenger side of the vehicle and claimed he was not driving, suggesting that the dog was driving. Officers said the man showed clear signs of intoxication. Oh? And when they asked him about how much alcohol he consumed, he broke into a run and tried running away. So mistakes were made this evening. The officer said the man was apprehended less than 20 yards away. Now, if you watch football, you can imagine what 20 yards is. And that's a good pickup, on a all-purpose, first down, right? If you pick up 20 yards, that's a good run. In real life, when you're trying to escape from somebody, 20 yards is not exactly the fugitive, okay? During the investigation, police learned the man was driving from Los Animas to Pueblo and got lost in Springfield. County Sheriff's Office was called to help with the investigation, and they discovered the man had 2 active warrants for his arrest. Once he was medically cleared, he was then booked into the county jail. He was also charged with driving under the influence of alcohol and or drugs, driving while ability impaired, driving under suspension, speeding 20 over, and resisting arrest. So here's the thing. That's the entire story. I believe I've heard of this before. I do not think this is the first time someone has attempted this. But of course, we've seen the ad for Carfax for guys trying to teach his dog how to drive a car. I believe it's a truck, though. However, this obviously won't work real well, which makes you wonder if somebody actually thought it would, and if so, is that an indication of how drunk they are? But there is an interesting angle to all of this, despite the fact that so many parts of the story are just hilarious, is the fact that they don't mention his blood alcohol content, the BAC. There's no mention of that. There's also no mention of field sobriety tests. And so we don't know if they actually administered any of those at the roadside. Now, the interesting thing is, because they pulled him over for a lawful purpose, doing 22 over, and then once they pulled him over, he tried to run away, and then, of course, they discovered he had active warrants. So they've got the right to then take him in, okay? There's no question about that. Interesting thing, though, is if they didn't, and I'm assuming there's a possibility they didn't, if they did not give him any tests to check his blood alcohol content, the question then is, could they still get a conviction for drunk driving? And the answer to that, of course, is yes. See, a lot of people assume that the breathalyzer or the data master or whatever machine they're using or a blood draw is necessary to get a conviction for drunk driving. And it's not. Those things just create presumptions that indicate you could be guilty. So your state might say, if you've got 0.08 in your system, you are presumed to be impaired. And at point one something or other, you are presumed to be under the influence and so on. And so those presumptions are difficult to beat, so they almost always do the blood draw or the breathalyzer. However, they don't have to. And so believe it or not, if someone handed this case to the prosecutor and said, here's the deal. Here's the story I just told you. We never got a blood draw. We never did a breathalyzer. Can you prosecute him still? They'd say, absolutely, all day long. And believe it or not, one of the primary things they're going to tell the jury is when he got pulled over by the police, he tried switching places with his dog and tried to suggest that his dog was driving. That's how impaired he was. And a jury could take that as evidence of impairment. They don't have to. They don't have to. Juries can do anything they want. I'd like to point that out, though, is that a jury could find that. And that's all you need to prosecute somebody. So they said he tried to switch places with the dog. And then when asked how much alcohol he consumed, that's when he ran away from the officer, and he was apprehended less than 20 yards away. So it's not exactly the great escape there. But, that's the great part of the story, is that he did at one point say, it was the dog driving. I think he's drunk. Now, he didn't actually say that he thought the dog was drunk. But that's the thing here, is I really feel sorry for the dog. I really do. I love dogs. I love dogs. And I've said before, there are no bad dogs, just bad dog owners. And so here a guy is actually trying to pin a crime on his dog. So that's not good. That's not good. So it's a great story. I appreciate everyone who sent it to me. And I'll have to wait and see if there's an update on this, because that'll be the curious thing, is if they have to go to trial on this. And if they do, whether they can get a conviction on the drunk driving, and whether or not they ever did anything to establish his actual blood alcohol content the evening that this all happened. So police say suspected drunk driver tried to switch places with the dog. Now, we could also say that instead of just the lawyer dogs, he could have been a designated driver dog, right? So, in other words, the dog was not drinking that evening. This guy was, in my hypothetical here. In that case, if the dog has not been drinking, he could be the designated driver dog. So we have a new potential job for dogs besides lawyer dog and barrister dog, designated driver dog. So police say the suspected drunk driver tried to switch places with his dog. Dara Bittler wrote that for KDVR. And I got to thank everyone who sent it to me, including Daryl, Caleb, Jay, Mike, Peter, Philip, Christy, Chris, and also Brad, Jeremy, and Bill. Questions or comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. On the other hand, you have different fingers.